In a pan, I'm going to take about 250 grams or 1 and 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. And to this, we are going to add 400 ml or 1 and 2/3 cup of water. On a low to medium flame, we are going to continuously stir this mixture till all of the sugar gets dissolved in the water. Now, once our sugar dissolves, we're going to add 250 grams or 1 and 1/4 cup of rava or semolina. Now, I prefer using the very fine semolina or rava because that is much more easier to work with rather than the thick rava. But it's up to you. If you feel like using the thicker rava or semolina, you can go ahead with that. Now we're going to add 1 teaspoon of salt. We're going to give everything a very good mix. Remember, we're cooking on a low to medium heat. Keep stirring. And now we're going to add 230 grams or 2 and 1/4 cup of desiccated coconut. Now, if you stick to all the measurements of all the ingredients, your bolinas will come out perfect. Now we're going to add just 2 tablespoons of clarified butter or ghee, and then we're going to give everything a very good mix. We're going to cook this for about 5 minutes on a low heat. Now your heat has to be low to medium, preferably more on the lower side, and just mix everything well together. Now, if you work with a non-stick pan, it's much more easier because it's easier to work with the mixture. Now, after 5 minutes, switch off the flame, and we are going to transfer this mixture into a glass bowl or a steel bowl. We're going to cover this and we have to rest this mixture for 12 hours. This is very, very important for this recipe. You can even keep it overnight in a nice cool place. You don't need to refrigerate it. Now, after 12 hours, we are going to add 3 egg yolks, 2 teaspoons of cardamom powder, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 3 tablespoons of maida or all-purpose flour. Now, in a separate bowl, we are going to whisk the egg whites of those 3 eggs. And once it's nice and fluffy like this, we're going to add this to the mixture. And then we're going to give everything with a good mix. And then we're going to knead it to a very soft and sticky dough. Now, this dough is going to be very, very sticky. It's not going to be a dryish dough. It's going to be more on the sticky side. Now we're going to line a baking tray with some parchment paper or baking paper. Dust your hands with some maida or dry flour and preheat your oven to 180 degrees Celsius for about 10 to 15 minutes. This is very important to preheat your oven. And then we're just going to roll them into small little balls. Now, I like to make the bolinas very small and they look very nice and dainty. But you can stick to whatever you like. You can make them a little bigger. But I found that if you make the bolinas nice and small, they cook evenly and they look very pretty on your Christmas tray too. So this is how they look. And then you can either use a very sharp knife and make the traditional bolinas cut. So what I like to do is just take a fork like this and first, use it horizontally and then vertically. And then you get this nice crisscross pattern. But you can also take a knife and just cross it out in the traditional way. Now, you may have to dust your hands many times while making these bolinas because the dough is very, very sticky. But the end result is really divine. And you can also just dip your fork in some dry flour. That helps to make the pattern too. And now we're going to bake this in a preheated oven at 180 degrees Celsius for 35 minutes. But keep checking because everyone's oven is different. And after 35 minutes of baking and having a lot of patience, the bolinas are all ready. The aroma in my home is just unbelievable. And the taste of these bolinas is just beautiful. So they are nice and golden brown. and they are even nice and brown on the base of the Bolinhas. They have baked so well, and the inside of it, that is the coconut and the rava or semolina mixture, also has baked so well. I'm trying to focus it here so you can see it, but it's really nice and baked, and it is so moist. And the moisture is because we have let this mixture rest for 12 hours. You can even keep it for a little longer time, but that is very key and to this recipe, and then you'll get the perfect Bolinhas. So I hope you liked today's recipe. So let's see today's recipe. Now here I'm using about 200 grams or 1 cup and 1/4 cup of Goa jaggery, which I've just grated using a sharp knife. You can also use a grater. Now this is exactly 125 grams or 3/4 of a cup of rice flour that I've just put some water in and made a thick paste. Now this is 200 ml or just 1 cup of thick coconut milk. So we just have 3 ingredients to make this dodol. It's super simple and it's really very, very easy. So let's start, friends. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour about 3/4 of the coconut milk into the jaggery bowl, and either using a spoon, you can just mix up everything, but I found using my fingers were a much better option because I could actually crush the grated jaggery very well, and I could also feel the texture, as to okay, now the jaggery is completely dissolved. Now a very important step, and please don't skip this step if you want to have a very smooth dodol dessert. Just take a sieve or a sift and just run this mixture through that. This is very important, friends, so please don't skip this sifting step. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add the remaining coconut milk to this mixture, and I'm going to give it a stir. Look at the lovely color of this mixture. And as you keep cooking it, it darkens and it becomes into a beautiful color. Now I'm just going to add a pinch of salt and again give it a good mix. Like I said, if you're not able to get your hands on Goa jaggery here in Mumbai, the closest thing would be to use palm sugar, which is available in most superstores or supermarkets. Now I've just taken a mold because the normal shape of a dodol is like, a loaf. So this is my normal loaf tin that I use. And I'm just going to grease it very well with some clarified butter. You can use regular butter too, but this is also a very important step. Don't skip this step because that way when you're demolding the dessert, it comes out really super easily. So using your fingers or a brush, just grease the mold very well. Now I'm just heating a pan on a low to medium flame, and to this I'm going to add my jaggery and coconut milk mixture. And now I'm just going to add the rice flour. Just whisk it in well because sometimes the rice flour does tend to settle down at the bottom. So before adding it, just ensure that all of the rice flour has dissolved. If it hasn't, just add a little more water and add it in. And now, friends, all we have to do is continuously stir on a low to medium flame. Also scrape down the sides. Now here I was using a spatula, but after some time when the liquid started spluttering all over the place, I found that a wooden spoon with a long handle is a much better option because it doesn't get heated up. So just keep stirring. If you have a wooden ladle or a wooden spoon with a long handle, then use that. So now basically we just have to keep stirring this mixture till it thickens. Now I did put a timer on my phone, so I wanted to see how much time it actually took, for the entire process, and it took me exactly 20 minutes. So you can take the help of your family members and friends to help you in stirring. or just listen, like I gave you a tip before in one of my Christmas recipes, just listen to your favorite podcast or put on some music or just chit chat with your friends and family. That makes the time really pass very, very fast. So like you see, I've switched to this long, to the wooden spoon with a long handle, because that way it doesn't splutter and the spoon doesn't get heated up either. So this is such a super simple recipe, just 3 ingredients, but the end result is so, so delicious. Now, at this stage, when your mixture starts to thicken, you can add a few pieces of cashew nuts, which you can chop up a bit. I somehow like the simple, plain, smooth dodol rather than having anything inside. In it. But you can add a few pieces of cashew nuts. So now at this point, when your mixture starts thickening, you can do a water test. That is, just take about 1/4 of a teaspoon of this mixture, just put it into a cup of, room temperature water. And if it forms into a smooth ball, then you know your mixture is done. Or when your mixture just starts leaving the sides of the vessel very easily and starts thickening up, you know that your mixture is ready. So now you can see the beautiful color. After cooking it, it has really darkened to a lovely dark chocolate color. So to make your work easier, you can put a timer so okay, when it's like 15-20 minutes, your mixture is going to get there. And now once it's ready, all you have to do is just pour it into the greased mold. You can use a glass one like I have, or the other tin ones that are available in the market. You can use a regular bread loaf tin too. And now just using the back of a spoon, just smoothen it out a bit. And then the most important part is that you have to refrigerate it for 4 to 5 hours. You have to be patient for this dessert to completely set. And now after waiting for 5 hours, very, very patiently, we're going to demold this lovely Goan dessert. Now just run a sharp knife through the edges. That makes it, come out really, really easily, like you will see. Now using a plate, just put the plate on top of your mold in this way, and then just turn the whole thing over, and you'll see how easily it just slides over, because first of all, you've greased your tin, and secondly, you've used a sharp knife to just loosen the edges. And there it is, friends, a very traditional and authentic Goan dessert. So simple, yet so, so delicious. So now all you have to do is just take a sharp knife and cut it up into thin or thick slices as per your choice, and serve it to your family and friends. It's a lovely tea time snack. You can make it for any, festivities, like even for Christmas or any other special occasion. So let's start with the recipe. Now here I have about 200 grams or 1 cup of guar jaggery. Now I'm just going to take a knife and I'm just going to grate it like this. You can also use a cheese grater. It's very easy to do it. It just, you can immediately grate it. It's very, very simple. Now this Goa jaggery is palm jaggery. So I'm using this regular cup to measure all my ingredients. So this is exactly 1 cup. And I'm also going to be using 1 cup of rice flour along with 1 cup of desiccated coconut. Now you could use fresh coconut too for this recipe. I'm also going to be using 1 teaspoon of cardamom or elaichi powder, which is freshly ground, and about a 1/4 cup of water. Now here I've just heated up a pan. And to this pan, we're going to add our Goa jaggery as well as the water. Now we're just going to stir this on a low flame, low to medium flame, till all of our jaggery completely melts. It doesn't take more than 2 to 3 minutes, but you have to continuously stir the mixture. Now, with regard to the rice flour, I'm using roasted rice flour, which I do get in my general store. But the other way is you just take regular rice, roast it, and then when it cools down, completely grind it and strain it. So you can do that, or if you get roasted rice flour, which is easily available in some stores, you can use that. So I'm using the roasted rice flour. So now it takes about 2 to 3 minutes for the entire mixture to smoothen up like this. Ensure that there are no lumps of the jaggery. Now once it completely dissolves, we're going to add our elaichi powder or our cardamom powder and mix it in well. Now we're going to add the desiccated coconut, or if you're using fresh coconut, it's time to add the fresh coconut, and you're going to mix it completely into the jaggery till you don't see any white specks. That means our coconut is completely mixed up with our jaggery. Now once that is done and you find that the coconut has mixed, just add a little bit of our roasted rice flour, a little at a time. Mix everything in well till you get a nice dark brown mixture and there's no white left. Even if a little bit of white is left, it's okay, because once our mixture cools down, we are going to knead the mixture completely. So now once everything is done, just let the mixture completely cool down to room temperature, and then we're just going to knead it a bit. And what I've done is I've just taken a little bit of clarified butter or ghee on the palm of my hands, and I'm just going to knead this mixture a bit. And then I've just taken a little bit of desiccated coconut and kept it in a plate, and I'm just going to form the pinagr shape, which is like a small croquet. So we're just going to form it like this. And now I am dipping it in or rolling it in some desiccated coconut. That is completely optional, but it looks very pretty. So just spread out the desiccated coconut a bit and then just roll it into the mixture. And then just flatten the edges a bit. And that's it. So this recipe was requested by my regular viewer and someone who's really so sweet and who really sends me lovely comments and messages, and that is Pearl D'Souza. So Pearl, you had asked me for my version of the Goan sweet called pinagr or pinaka. So this is it. So do try it out and let me know how you liked it. So this is what we're going to do with the rest of the dough. And with these measures of the ingredients that I've used, I got exactly 9 pinagrs or pinaka. It's a very easy sweet to make and it tastes simply delicious. So as far as the Goa jaggery, uh, do let me know in Mumbai, wherever you're staying, whether you can, from where do you source your Goa jaggery? Because I got mine from Nature's Basket. It's called palm sugar. So it is Goa jaggery, because once I tasted it, I just knew, okay, this is Goa jaggery, because I have had a lot of Goa jaggery. During my childhood, whenever we used to go to Goa, my mom and dad used to always pick up Goa jaggery, and it comes in this typical pyramid form. So I got mine from Nature's Basket, but if any of you all know where in Mumbai or Bombay we can get this, then please leave it in the comment section below. It'll be really helpful for our viewers and for anyone who's really looking to use Goa jaggery. So that's it, friends. It's such an easy recipe. It hardly had any ingredients. And like I said, if you want to use the ready-made roasted rice flour, you can do that. Otherwise, just take rice, the regular rice that you use at your home. Just roast it a bit in a pan, let it cool down, completely grind it, and then just sieve it. You need to sieve it, otherwise it will not come to the right consistency. So I hope you guys try out this recipe, and do let me know in the comment section as to how it turned out and how you liked it. And stay tuned to Akshata's recipes. There's a lots more coming up. I have many recipes to share. So stay tuned, and of course subscribe to my channel. Once you subscribe, hit the bell, because that way whenever I put up a new recipe, you'll get a message for the same, so you won't miss out anything happening on my channel. So they formed so well that it's so easy to break it up, and it's simply delicious. So guys, let's start with this beautiful recipe of Bebinca. It's a 7-layered Bebinca, and it's it's a very simple recipe. Let's get started. So in a bowl, I've taken 8 yolks. To that, I'm going to add 350 grams of regular sugar, and we are going to mix this just for like till the sugar and the yolks get mixed well together. It will turn from a dark yellow to a pale yellow. Now we have to add 2.5 cups of thick coconut milk. And now you are going to stir this or whisk this till all of the sugar dissolves. So that's very important. So stir this till all of the sugar dissolves. Now I'm going to add about half a teaspoon of nutmeg powder or zaifal powder. I've just taken the nutmeg and just grated it on a fine grater, and I'm going to add that to my mixture. And now mix the nutmeg in well. Now I'm going to add half a teaspoon of salt. Again, we're going to stir and mix this well. Now I'm going to add 140 grams of maida or all-purpose flour. I'm going to add half the quantity first. Whisk it in well till I get a nice smooth mixture without any lumps. And then I'll add the remaining flour and again mix it till there are no lumps in the mixture. Now guys, if you follow this recipe to the T, your Bebinca will come out perfect. It's a tried and tested recipe, and it will give it a try, guys, and it will really it comes out really delicious, and you get the lovely 7 layers. Now we're going to mix this flour and in with all of the rest of the ingredients. Now I've taken 2 bowls and I've also taken a strainer, and I'm going to strain half the quantity into each of the bowls. So we want 2 bowls with half of the quantity. This is very important that you sift it or you sieve it, because you'll see that there are a lot of particles of the egg and the coconut milk So if you want a really smooth bebinca, then this step should not be skipped. So just sift it equally into two bowls. Now I'm making two bowls because I'm going to be adding some caramel to one of them so that we have this distinct dark and light layer. So once you pour it in, just press it down with a spatula till you get all of the liquid inside. And then you can see there's some kind of sediment of the egg yolk and the coconut milk or the sugar or the nutmeg. So just press it down gently. And now we have two bowls with the mixture. So now I'm going to add about 2 tablespoons of dark caramel, and we're going to mix it in very, very well. We don't want a very dark chocolatey color, but we just want this light color just to distinguish between the two layers. Now I've taken an 8-inch pan with 2 inches thickness, and I'm going to pour about 6 teaspoons of ghee or clarified butter into the pan. Now I've also set my oven to be preheated at 200 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. That's very important that you preheat your oven. Now once you've added the ghee, just swirl it around so that it coats the entire cake tin, the base as well as the sides. That way when you're demolding your bebinca, it will just come out so easily. Now we are going to pour the dark liquid first. So I'm taking about a cup of the liquid. Now just stir it a bit because sometimes a little bit of it settles to the base. So just stir it a bit, and we're going to add 1 cup to the base of the pan. And now I'm just going to pop this into the oven, and we're going to bake this at 200 degrees Celsius for 10 minutes. Put a timer, guys, for this bebinca recipe, and you'll see that you get this dark layer. Now just take about a little bit of the ghee and brush it over this layer. And now we're going to pour the light liquid, again a cup of the light liquid over this. And now when you put it into the oven, we're going to use only the top heating. So in my oven, I have a function called grill. So I'm going to go with the grill function. If you all have an oven which says top, then just go with the top. So we don't want to bake it now. We just want to, cook the top layer only. So again, you're going to do this. You're going to brush it with a little bit of ghee or clarified butter. Again, put the, alternate between the dark and the light colors. And now you're going to only use the top heating function of your oven. We don't want to bake this like you would with a cake, but we want to only cook the top. So this you're going to do, for the next 6 rounds, alternating between dark and light. And keep an eye on your Bebinca, because every oven is different. So the minute you find that it's a little bit baked, just keep an eye, take it out, just take a toothpick, insert the toothpick. If the toothpick comes out clean, then you're ready. So now we've finished with it, and now we're just going to let this cool completely for 4 to 5 to 6 hours till it's completely cooled. Now if you want to see that it's ready, just take a toothpick and insert it. The toothpick should come out completely clean. If it doesn't come out clean, then just put it for another 2 or 3 minutes and just bake it on the top. Now after 5 hours, when it's completely cooled, I'm just going to take my knife and I'm just going to loosen it on the edges. Then I'm going to put a plate, I'm going to invert it, and I'm going to just tap the pan, and there you see it's come out so it's so easily. That's because we applied a lot of ghee. And now you can see that our bebinca is all ready to be cut and eaten and enjoyed. So take a sharp knife and just cut it up, in whatever shape you want. And now you will see, friends, that it is, you can see the distinct layers, and there are 7 layers. So, friends, let's start with today's lovely chana doce recipe. Now here I've taken about 1.5 cup of chana dal. I've washed it thrice well under running water, and then we are going to soak it in about 3 cups of water for at least 5 to 6 hours. Now in the meantime you can make some elaichi or cardamom powder. I've just taken 4 elaichis, peel them and just made them into a powder in my mortar and pestle. This comes to about 1 teaspoon of elaichi powder. Now I'm going to transfer the soaked dal along with the water that we had soaked it in into a pressure pan. I'm going to add a pinch of salt, stir it in well, and then we're going to pressure cook this for 1 whistle on high and simmer for 10 minutes. Once the pressure pan is completely cooled, you'll see that the dal is nice and cooked, so you will just smash it down to, so that it's easier for us to grind it to a smooth paste. Now since we had soaked the dal, it cooks really very fast. Now I'm going to transfer this mashed dal to a mixer and I'm going to blend it to a very smooth paste. This is the consistency of the paste we are looking for. Now I'm also going to grind 3 cups of freshly grated coconut in the mixer. No water has to be added. This is how the ground coconut will look. Now I'm going to grease a baking tray, or you can use a regular tray, with some ghee. And you can keep this aside. Now I'm going to add the cooked dal to a heavy bottomed pan. I'm also going to add the ground grated coconut. I'm going to mix both of them really well together. Now I'm cooking this on a low flame. I'm also going to add 2 cups of sugar and start stirring everything on a low to medium flame. I'm also going to add the elaichi powder or the cardamom powder and mix it in well. Now I'm just going to do a taste test just to see if the sugar is right, or if I need to add more sugar. Now I felt I needed to add a little bit of salt, so I just added a little salt to taste. And now we just have to stir this on a low to medium flame. Now after some time, about 3 or 4 minutes, you'll find that the mixture thickens and also it darkens in color. So just keep stirring this. So I timed myself in the entire process till it actually was ready. It took me about 15 minutes. I'm also using a wooden spoon with a long handle because it does tend to splutter a bit. Scrape off the sides also and keep stirring. Now you'll find after some time that the mixture becomes very difficult to stir. It becomes really stiff. But when you stir it, you see that it leaves the sides of the pan as well as the base of the pan very easily. So we are almost there. Now I'm just going to add about a tablespoon of ghee to this. And this makes the mixture really nice and smooth, and you're able to stir everything together, plus it adds a lovely flavor also. So now you can turn off the gas flame and just with the residue heat, just keep stirring it for about another half a minute or so. Now we're going to transfer this mixture onto the grease tray. You can even use a plate also, a steel plate. And now we're going to add a few drops of ghee, about say half a teaspoon or a teaspoon, and just flatten it out now using a spatula and just bring it to the thickness of the tray. It should be about half an inch of thickness, and then just smoothen the top of it with a spatula like this. The mixture is extremely hot, so be careful. And I'm just going to take a knife and just make this design just on the surface of the dose. Now generally it does have this design. If you see the dose, it has some diagonal lines, fine lines on it. Don't go all through to the base, just on the top. It's just a kind of a design. And now we're going to keep this covered with a dry kitchen cloth. I'm going to cover and keep this overnight or for at least 10 hours to set. That's very important that you set this for at least 10 hours. So after 10 hours, you'll see that the dose is all set, and you'll find the top of it has hardened and set. It's not soft anymore. And then just cut it into the the traditional diamond shape that the dose normally has, and it will look like this. So our chana dose is all ready to enjoy. You'll see that the top of it has hardened, whereas the center and the base is still soft and smooth. That's how the consistency should be. Now you can store this in an airtight container, and for a day or two, and then refrigerate it after that, preferably. And whenever you want to serve it, just